Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's virtual reading series event. Today we have with us Dr. Tracey Nicole Hayes, who will be reading her book, Annie's Hope, which you should be seeing on your screen right now. So first, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to give a shout out to the Alamance County Department of Social Services Foster Care and Adoptions team. My former coworkers who are absolutely amazing. It is Foster Care Awareness Month, and even though I am no longer working with them, I still recognize and appreciate all the hard work they do in our county. So, hey, y'all, I'm not going to name everybody because I'll miss some of you, but hey, everybody, thank you for everything you do for Alamance County. I'm wearing my Be the Hope shirt just for y'all today. All right. So our co-sponsors, as always, Alamance Achieves, Future Alamance, Allied Churches of Alamance County, Elena and Jane Books, Burnett Chapel Christian Church, the Kia Foundation, WNCC Western District Social Action Commission, and This Woman's Words. So I want to thank all of our co-sponsors for sticking with me over the last several weeks. We just got a few more weeks to go, and we're going to knock this thing out and make it as memorable as possible. Our literacy resource highlight. So, I have to give a lesson before we can have the fun of the book. So, this week's literacy resource highlight is called Reach Out and Read. Again, we've talked about Alamance Partnership for Children several times on this series, but this is how you also access Reach Out and Read. So, it is a literacy program that's on the Alamance Partnership for Children website. That's www.alamancechildren.org, literacy-program.html. And I will tag that in the comments once Dr. Hayes starts reading so that you all can access that website. Now, let me tell you a little bit about our author and our reader, Dr. Hayes. Dr. Tracey Nicole Hayes is a retired human resources officer, having served 24 years in uniform. During this time, in both military and civilian capacities, she specialized in education and training, dual diagnosis addictions, abuse counseling, grief counseling, and sexual abuse advocacy. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in English from the United States Naval Academy, a master's degree in human relations with a concentration in leadership from the University of Oklahoma, and a doctoral degree in education from Capella University. As an educator, she has taught English, leadership, and human behavior at a range of colleges and universities, to include her alma mater, the U.S. Naval Academy, as well as served on the admissions board at USNA. She is a founding board member of the nonprofit organization Leadership Links Incorporated, which was founded by 6 Naval Academy graduates and provides mentorship, leadership, education, and character development to teenage girls. She is the author of When You're Calling Mommy, The Joys and Heartbreak of Being a Foster Parent, published in 2018 by Westbow Press, which chronicles her experience as a naval officer while fostering a beautiful toddler. I don't know how you did all that at the same time, Tracey, but all right. To her writing credits, she has ghostwritten 6 memoirs for African-American women who have thrived in the face of adversity. She is currently a freelance editor and owns JH Writing Plus. She released her first self-published children's book in May 2021 entitled Annie's Hope, about a little girl who feels she doesn't belong in the family she's in, perfect for children in foster care, in counseling, and those struggling with difficult family dynamics. It is available in both English and Spanish. Connect with Dr. Hayes at www.fightforchildren.com, and that's fight4children.com. And now I am going to turn it over to the woman who apparently can do all things at the same time, the one and only Dr. Tracey Nicole Hayes.
Thank you so much. I know I'm in great company. So I'll start my book. This is Annie's Hope, written by Angelina Thornton with Tracey Nicole Hayes, illustrated by Gavari. Annie's Hope. When I see my reflection, who is it that I see? I wonder just exactly what life has in store for me. Sometimes I feel I don't belong, and hope's my only friend. I wonder where I'm going. Does it matter where I've been? All the other kids seem to have more than I do. They seem to go more places, and their dreams are bigger too. I think of others playing, but no one plays with me. I find myself daydreaming of what my life will be. I know my turn is coming, and it's slow at any rate. I'm trying to be patient, but it's so hard to wait. But when I see my reflection, I cannot help but beam. I see all my grandest hopes. I see all my dreams. I spend so many moments thinking, dreaming until dawn, and I know my best friend listens, hears my secrets, guides me on. One day I know I'll see all that happened for a reason, and the lonely times I went through were only for a season. One day I know I'll see my dreams are just as far and wide, and nothing can compare to all the hope I feel inside. One day I know I'll see all the wonders of this world, the struggles I have overcome as beauty now unfurls. One day I know I'll understand the plans in store for me and all the miracles that happened to get me where I had to be. One day I know I'll see all the rainbows through the rain, my angels all protecting me and showing me the way. One day I know I'll see the many lessons life has taught, and I'll look back with pride at all the strength that they have brought. The hard parts that have happened made me into who I'll be. It took the good, the bad combined to reach my destiny. Each day I'm getting bolder. I'm erasing all the doubt. Each day I'm getting closer to figuring it out. There'll be some bumps and bruises, cuts and scrapes along the ways, but playing in the puddles is the gift of rainy days. I'm creating my reality from years of make pretend, and I know a world of happiness is just around the bend. I love who I'm becoming. No one's perfect anyhow. I love the child inside of me. I love who I am now. The end.
That was beautiful. I love the rhymes. Made me.
Thank you.
So Adrian is not here with us today because I normally let Adrian kick off the questions, but I do have just a few questions for you. Okay. So, what was it like for you being a foster parent?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is the story of my first book, When You're Called Mommy. And I tell you, I look back and no, it's just the grace of God that I was able to foster a beautiful, beautiful toddler at a time when I was active duty military and also working on my dissertation for my PhD in education. Um, and so I say it's both, you know, the foster care system is both magnanimous in some ways. You know, we definitely need foster parents. There are over 400,000 children that are in care just in the United States alone. But in some respects, the system can be broken. So I found it frustrating one minute and wonderful with the experiences the next minute. And every day was just a learning experience for me, you know, not having biological children of my own and learning, you know, what who's hungry and who has to go to the bathroom and who needs to do what, you know, when kids can't always articulate how they're feeling and what they need. So it was learning a learning experience, just being a new parent to a child that already had their norms somewhere else, and then learning the system. We go through 30 hours of training, and then life really happens when you're given a whole life child to care for.
A whole live child, not a baby doll. And so, do you have plans to write more books, possibly around fostering?
You know what? Probably. I'm going to say probably because the first book and one of the your authors who read a few weeks ago, Selena Barksdale Clark, she reminded me that 3 years ago today I was giving a reading at a downtown independent bookstore for my first book, and at that time I said, I got to get this perfect because that's all I have. I just got this one book. And 3 years ago today, here I am reading virtually. And so I never intended to write a children's book. I was asked a couple times, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything about children's books. And this one was really just given to me. Um, I really feel proud about how this one turned out. So I'm going to say yes. I'm not putting any limits. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. There's going to be lots more books coming.
I'm glad that you mentioned Selena. I'm sure that Selena is watching because she, of course, is who recommended that
Yes.
I put you on the show. And I
Yes.
got a package from Selena yesterday. And I got a coloring book and I got a copy of Mommy If You Hold My Hand. And so I just want to thank Selena and Landon for thinking of me. Y'all are the sweetest. And thank you for putting me in contact with Dr. Hayes because she's phenomenal. And I thought I was busy and then I met her and child, I ain't doing nothing. Okay. So, in a bit of a different question, do you have anything that you would like to say to any children that are watching that may be in foster care or that may be in a kinship type placement?
So I would just like to say that we see you. We see you and you're not forgotten. And just like Annie's Hope says, that one day we'll come to see all that happened for a reason. And the times that we're going through are only for a season. And it may seem like, especially at a young age, when a child doesn't have the concept of time and has no idea, neither does a foster parent, how long they're going to be in the situation that they're in, and they're seeing mom and dad, maybe, once a week for an hour. And really, when you don't have a concept of time and don't know how long things are going to, the situation's going to be the way it is, and don't understand, there's case plans, there's magistrates, there's so many people that are working on behalf of the child, even though it doesn't always feel like it, to reunite the family and do what's in the best interest of the child. So I would just give them encouragement and say that we see you. You're not invisible. We understand. There's a lot of people who do understand and are cheering for you and want the very best for you, even though it doesn't always feel like that. And so just remember that it's a season, and it will make you strong, and you will look back and see how I say struggle makes you strong.
Thank you for that. I think that was beautiful, and I think that was very well said. In a similar vein, do you have any particular message or words for those serving as foster parents?
Again, I see you. That's why I wrote my first book, because encourage. I wanted to encourage foster parents, because sometimes I felt like I was alone. And some of that was by design. I never wanted anyone to look at the children that I was fostering and place a stigma on them, because that stigma it's not theirs. No, who finds it ideal to be taken out of their household, their normal, might not be our normal, but taken out of their normal and placed in someone else's home for an indefinite period of time, with little more than what you can put in a trash bag. And then they get labeled of, angry or acting out. I'm like, well, who would not act out in a situation like that? So I really wanted to encourage foster parents. I wanted to empower them to take ownership, and because there's a lot of times where we may find that we feel just alone. We can't discuss how we got a whole child in our care that we didn't have before, and you really limited and for privacy reasons to not share the details of how that child came into care. And so sometimes it can just be a lonely feeling. And I shared with you that I felt like my little girl's guardian ad litem was my advocate, because foster parents really don't have a voice, and we are entrusted to care for a child that's not ours for an indefinite period of time, love them like ours, and treat them like ours, and then let them go at a moment's notice. And it's hard. It really can be hard to package all that love into a small time period. And my little girl, my love has never gone away for her or the little boy that I had for just a short period of time before her. But I would just want to encourage foster parents that you're not alone. Take advantage of the resources that you do have, and hang in there. It's for a season, and what a beautiful blessing to be able to give a child love when their family's going through a difficult time in their lives, and to be able to be there as strength and support and love for a child.
Also, very well said. I see why you're an author, because it's like it just flows out of you. I love it.
Thank you, Sharaya.
You're welcome. And since you did say that, let me also give a shout out to the place where I got my start in the world of social work, which is the Alamance County Guardian Ad Litem program. They're doing great work over there. And so I want y'all to know that I see y'all and the work that you put in, and you are appreciated. So I see that we have several people on Zoom with us. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Hayes? So
Tracey.
Hello, Carter's mommy.
Do you necessarily I don't know how to ask it, but like for someone who's not in a position to foster, like what could someone do to make an impact with, like, in my situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So a lot of times we don't know who is in care, because it's not advertised. You might have a child that shows up in the middle of the school year or in the neighborhood. And a lot of times you just want to encourage the child, give them privacy. If you have a child, then like, okay, this child is not, doesn't look like they're a part of the family. Give that family their respect and their privacy by just honoring that this is a hard situation. But there's also organizations that support I'm going to say children in foster care. They collect suitcases for children, or you might find that there's opportunities when you have children that come. Sometimes there are events where children are looking to be adopted. Their parents' rights have been terminated, and the children need forever homes. And so just to I don't really know what the community can do other than really just validate that child. Ask, if you know foster parents, ask what they need. They do get a stipend, but a lot of times it's not really enough all the time to really give the child everything that they would need. It does compensate some basic needs, but sometimes the family will get a child different age ranges, so different toys, different clothing items. So if you know of a foster parent or anyone in your community that's fostering, ask the parents what you can do to support that child, whether it be toiletries, whether it be clothes, whether it be toys. You're not going to be able to do some of the things that we want to do. Sometimes we just want to give a foster parent a break, and there's respite care for that. But we're not allowed to, if you're not licensed, to take a child for a weekend or take them to the park. And you have to go through the proper channels of fingerprinting and background checks. So a lot of things that we want to do as members in the community, we're just not allowed to do because our goal is to keep that child safe first and foremost. So ask the foster parent what that child might need. Sharaya, you were as guardian ad litem. Is there anything that you can think of that people in the community might do?
So you can always volunteer as a guardian ad litem, and you essentially just go through a training process, and that training looks different county to county. So depending on what county you're in or what state, it can be called things other than guardian ad litem. I think in some states it's called CASA, or you can find it through CASA. And essentially you go through your training, which can be several weeks, and you get a guidebook, and then you are appointed by the court. So you get paperwork from a judge that identifies you as a guardian ad litem. And then from there, your role is to meet with the child. There are different requirements, again, depending on the state, how often, but it's normally at least once a month while they're in placement, and even if they're transitioning back home. And your job is to write a court report and testify on behalf of the child in court. Your role is particularly important for children who are, I would say, under the age of 5 and may not be comfortable speaking in front of a judge. As children get older, some of them do come to court and speak to the judge. But a lot of times the role of the guardian ad litem is to kind of have it so that if the child is in court, they don't feel the pressure to have to talk. They've relayed what they want to you, and you talk about what's in the best interest of the child and what the child's wishes are.
Thank you, ladies, both. That was really good information, because I was going to ask that if there was something we could do as far as, like, I don't know, like Tracey was saying, take them to the park or something, but I didn't even think that that was not the best thing to do. But so thank you.
Thank you
You're
for asking that
welcome.
question.
That was a really good question. And so also to echo Tracey's sentiment, I would also say that if you want to help and you know someone that's fostering and you don't know what they need, asking them, I think is what Tracey led off with. And I think that's important because yes, you do have to have fingerprints and background checks to do some things, but then there are other things that you might be able to help with, like maybe fixing a meal or maybe assisting with buying Christmas presents, all those types of things. So I think it's just a matter of asking each foster parent, because each situation, each child, each fostering experience is different. Are there any other questions from those of you on Zoom?
I would just like to ask something real quick, if you don't mind. I'm
Go
turning on my
ahead, Zoe.
video so then people can see me. So I also used to work in foster care at Alamance County DSS. And one thing that I would really like to know is if you have any tips for current foster parents who are having to also work with the biological family. I always notice that that can sometimes be difficult, especially as a foster parent. You know, you want to protect that child, and knowing some of their background as to why they came into foster care can sometimes make that difficult. So do you have any suggestions for foster parents to kind of ease that relationship?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, and this is something that I had to learn as a new foster parent, remember that the goal of foster care is reunification. And so if you keep that first and foremost in mind and you're partnering with this family. They're going through a difficult time, whether it be an abuse, neglect situation, whether it be mental health, whether it be abuse or drug addiction. That family is going through a really challenging time. And so if the foster parent will think of this as we're partnering with a family to help them make their family whole again, to as much as we can. Sometimes there's that can't be done, and the parents will have their rights terminated, and the child will be placed, for adoption or permanency. But while the child is in foster care and the parents still have their rights, the foster parent should really try to partner and work with the biological family. And sometimes I would imagine that there's resentment. I remember that the biological father said, you took my kids and they're a trophy. And I reminded, no, I didn't take your kids. I received your children in care to give them a safe place for them to be while you are fulfilling the obligations of your case plan. But no, I didn't sneak in, to your house in the middle of the night and steal your kid. I received them so that they would have a safe place to call home, or, temporary safe place to call home. And so there is resentment. There can be a feeling that there's a competition, and it's not about who has more money, resources, education, opportunity. It's not about who's got more. Our goal as foster parents is to keep that child safe while they are going through the process of reunifying with their family. So as long as we, I think, can remember, have some empathy, who among us would have to have their child taken from them and then have to work through a system and take classes and go through a lot of I don't know, experiences is not the right word, but have to go through a lot to get your own biological child back. So I think empathy and remembering the goal of reunification and partnering is three of the best things that we can do as foster parents.
Beautifully put. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Zoe. I also want to echo something that Dr. Hayes said, which is that I think not even just with regards to fostering, not just with regards to kinship, any of that, always remember, this is for the kids and the adults, and I'm speaking to myself here, that there are days that you will meet people that will be the worst day of their life and you will not know. And so you're going to have to be conscious of how you treat people, because people can be having very, very bad days. And I think about things that I know that foster children went through in school. And I understand that sometimes kids don't understand all that's going on around them or why this new person is showing up in their class. But I just think that if we're more mindful of the fact that people could be having very, very bad days when we meet them, it will change how we interact with them, and it will allow us to extend grace to them in times when we would possibly think of bullying or being mean or picking on them. And I think that that same sentiment extends between foster parents and the biological family. Is that biological family, when you meet them, going through a very bad season, and they may be having the worst day of their lives up until that point. And so how you interact with them has the ability to make or break the relationship of shared parenting that would exist for that child. So I think you said that very, very well. I agree with Zoe on that. If there are no other questions, then my last question for you is, where can people find you on social media? And what is your website, one more time, just so they can make sure that they have it written down?
Okay, my website is www.fightforchildren.com. That's fight, F-I-G-H-T, the number 4 children.com. And I'm not big on social media, but Nick Hayes 1 is my Twitter, and you can send me a friend request, Tracey Nicole Hayes on Facebook. But the best way to get in touch with me is fightforchildren.com, and that will also take you to my my ghostwriting editing website, which is jhwritingplus.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Hayes. It's been such a pleasure interacting with you. And
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
anytime. And I believe that we are your first reading experience for Annie's Hope. So I hope that it was an enjoyable experience.
Absolutely.
So next week, everybody, we will have Adrienne Free reading with us. Again, her name is Adrienne Free, and she will be reading Differently Daphne. Again, Differently Daphne. And that book is available on Amazon. And so the blurb with all the links as well as the flyer will go up shortly. It will also be distributed to those of you who asked to get it via email. So again, May 29th at 11:30 a.m., we will have Adrienne Free reading Differently Daphne. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.